Hey, Nick Langer, man. Welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, you got it, bro. Thanks for joining us. This is a big episode for me, man, because you've been killing me for 2 years while I'm working out with you. So looking forward to this. For people that don't know Nick Langer, man, Nick Langer is a personal friend of mine, very successful bodybuilder, right? I remember Body by Vi back in the day, entrepreneurship, right? He's an entrepreneur, college football athlete, fair enough. And big and best of all, gym owner, fitness and health expert, and then dad and a husband.
Yes.
Those are some of the things that I picked up from you, man. I've known Nick for, 15 years probably.
Yep.
And great to have you as a friend, man. So Nick has competed in many competitions around the country, right? Bodybuilding is what Nick has done at the highest level, and he actually trains bodybuilders to complete at the highest level. It's the most will-powered individual I know, and I know that, man, because I spent a lot of time with you at the gym while you're eating food and what you eat. Nick is committed to his craft, man, from what I know, man, and you are epitome of doing things the right way and not taking no for an answer, right? Or taking the easy way out through a process, right? So, and then you're on with your fitness, with your food, and at the gym when you're working out, man, you're the hardest worker that I've seen at the gym. So, and we're going to talk about that, and then your entrepreneurship, man, and how you've really developed this whole giant corporation here in Omaha, Nebraska, made a name for yourself, man. Looking forward to it. So let's find out how you did it, man.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right. We told the audience a little bit about you, man. Anything else that you want to share?
I think the only other thing I would say is man of faith.
Okay.
One of my kind of common core things is my faith is always first. And awesome. You know, even more so than you know, when I was let's go back before I was married.
Yeah.
The main thing that was talked about was making sure that your faith is first, even before your spouse.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, that is one thing that I hold kind of dear to myself. And I don't really speak a lot about it because of the world that we live in. Yeah. But, you know, it is one of those things where my faith is definitely something that keeps me grounded. And I know that was something that you wanted to kind of know about. And I would say the main thing that has helped me in a lot of my journey is having that underlying faith, to understanding that my purpose for being here is more than just showing off a body or putting somebody through hell in a workout. You know, it's about impacting other people's lives. And a lot of that comes from the faith that I've been kind of growing and maturing in as I've gotten older.
Huge.
So.
And you just mentioned it, man. Faith is huge, man. I appreciate you sharing that. You talked about mission, man, and I know in one of the things we'll just get right to it because we have a lot to cover with you. You talked about your personal mission, man. I just saw a post you put on Instagram about your personal mission, a shoot you did in New York City at 7 a.m. You said your personal mission. You want to share a little bit about that? Yeah.
So, you know, the biggest thing that I realized last year, you know, as I've been kind of growing as an entrepreneur, but also as an individual, I've kind of realized that I'm a person that would much rather sit back and just do the work. I love the process of everything. Okay. And I think that's what makes it a lot easier for me when it comes to the food that I eat and the workouts that I do. I love the process. I love the structure. I don't love the exposure.
Okay.
That's one thing that I'm actually not a big fan of.
Okay.
I'm not, which is really weird because you're talking about a bodybuilder who stands on stage basically naked. But it's something that like doesn't actually intrigue me. I don't want to be seen by everybody, known by everybody, popular or whatever you want to say.
Okay.
And so, you know, this last year I realized though, when I actually started showing, hey, here's my story. Here's who I am. These are the daily struggles I go through. This is what I've done with my life and what I continue to do. The amount of outpour of people that were like, man, what you're telling me and what you're showing me encourages me to actually shoot for whatever I want.
It's huge.
And, you know, that was probably one of the biggest eye-opening things to me was, okay, I need to step out of my comfort zone. And my comfort zone is staying kind of in the shadows and doing my own thing and staying that way. And, you know, I'll have people that like you who see me daily, who see what I do, but I'm not showing that to the world.
Yes.
And the issue with that is then I'm not impacting the number of people that I should. And that's, you know, again, going back to faith, that's the calling that I've kind of been pushed towards is an aspect that, you know, the knowledge that I've gained and things that I understand, especially when it comes to the human body and how to work with the human body and how to work with the human psyche in order to get the human body to go where it needs to go. Those are all things that I can't share with thousands of people if I'm staying in the shadows. Mm-hmm. And so that was really the eye-opening thing for me last year. And so, one of the posts that I had posted up was, you know, I've done a photo shoot maybe once before.
Okay.
And I traveled out to New York City, went out there at the time, was out there staying with the coach that was working with me. And he had a photographer that was working with him. And I said, hey, let's go shoot, in downtown. Cool. And he's like, okay. He's like, so you're going to be, you're going to pose in downtown, right? And I'm like, I mean, I guess. I mean, yeah. And so literally, and the crazy thing was, this is what, I don't know, 6 months into the pandemic. So, New York City is not the best place for this. And I just kind of took it and ran with it and was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I might as well do it all out. And I might as well, the other thing that I've kind of realized is I've been taking myself too seriously.
Sure.
And by doing so, I've been holding back from showing everybody who I am and what I'm about. And so I was like, finally, you know what? Let's just do it. If somebody comes up to me and yells at me, who cares? I mean, heck, New York's known for the naked cowboy, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. But that was kind of the gist of everything. And like I said, it was amazing to me the impact that it had when we were doing the competition. We had also had a film crew that kind of went with me through the entire process. Saw what I went through, kind of documented my daily efforts of what I do running the gym and running my training program and then being a father and just kind of the days and how my days look and kind of what it takes to actually compete at that high level
for sure
and still balance life.
100%.
And like I said, when we did that, the amount of people that kind of reached out to me were like, man, thank you for doing that, because it's showing me that, I think I've got a lot on my plate, but obviously it's nothing in comparison to what I could do if I just maximize what I'm capable of.
For sure.
So
that's huge, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that, man. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
What you have done, man, in the last year is showing your vulnerable side, and I'm one of them, the people that you have touched doing that, because I'm like, man, that dude grinds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, man? So I look up to you, man. So it's pretty
Appreciate
cool.
That.
I want to talk about process, man. You talked about that a couple of times, right? So I want to go back to that, and then obviously your other part of it, which is adversity that you had to deal with. So let's talk about process. You have a process when it comes to working out, and I work out with you, so I know this, because when I'm in there, I'm working out, you're always yelling at me. Okay, slow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, up. Okay, slow. Okay, up, right? Tell me a little about your process of working out for normal people to understand.
Yeah. So when it comes down to what I would say are business class people, which is what a lot of my afternoon clients are. Okay. A lot of people want to get in 30 to 45 minutes, get in, get out. That's the process, right?
Okay.
And the idea behind this is I want to try to get the maximal amount of effort done in a minimal amount of time and give you the best output that we can get within that time frame.
Okay.
Majority of people are going to need to be doing more of a interval style workout in that process, or even circuit style training.
Okay.
It doesn't apply for everybody, but typically for the majority of people that are only going to work out maybe 3 days a week or whatever it might be, it's going to be something that's going to be helpful and it's going to give them the stimulus that we're looking for when it comes to breaking down muscle tissue and when it comes down to kind of giving them that blood flow and movement that we're looking for in the gym, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I typically try to do within that time frame is a few things. Number one, time under tension, like you're talking about. So that's the 3-second eccentric, controlling the muscle tissue, controlling the weight. Okay. That control of the weight, there's been studies that have shown that actually controlling that negative on all of those movements causes more muscle tissue breakdown. So instead of just moving the weight, where you're not going to get that, I mean, you know it. Yep. The minute you start doing that slow contraction, yes. And that's because it's going to help out with, number one, building more, breaking down more muscle tissue, but also builds up a little bit more lactic acid so that in that time frame, you're doing more damage to the muscle tissue. More damage equals us being able to get more out of the workout.
100%.
Right. So it's about being efficient. And when it comes to my business class people, I'm 100% about efficiency because I only have 30 to 45 minutes.
Yes.
Your rest times, I typically stay right around between 45 and 90 seconds max, depending upon the lift that we're doing, or depending upon if we're doing supersets or whatever it might be.
Okay.
Reason for that, again, is the aspect that typically majority of people can recover from that lift within 60 seconds.
Got it.
So if you're able to recover and we're able to get max effort out of you again, still being able to push the weight and move the weight in the correct form, why not use that shorter time frame that we can? And the other aspect is majority of people underestimate how much time they spend on the phone or spend doing whatever in the gym in comparison to the work that they could be getting done.
Yes.
And so, people will ask me all the time, you're a bodybuilder, you're in the gym. How long are you in the gym a day?
Yep.
And I'm like, an hour and 15 minutes is how long I lift. If I lift longer than that, I've been bullshitting the whole time. Right.
Okay.
So
where's your phone during that time?
my phone's on me.
Okay.
But the thing about my phone is at that point in time, it's only used for two reasons. It's used to log my weights and it's used for music.
Okay.
Those are the only two reasons.
Got it. You're not checking on Facebook, Instagram, any of that?
Nope.
Okay.
Typically what I'll end up doing is I'll actually turn it on airplane mode.
Beautiful.
I'll turn on airplane mode and I'll turn my Wi-Fi on.
Okay.
And then I can listen to music, but I'm not getting text messages. I'm not getting anything else.
Okay.
Right? So all I'm using it for is logging my weights.
Yep.
And then using it for music.
Huge.
And I think that's something that a lot of people can do.
Okay.
Because
great advice.
The other thing that we've got to realize is majority of business professionals or just people in general, you're probably doing this over your lunch break. And 90% of people that do it over the lunch break, they're doing it because they just want to get the hell out of the office or at now out of home because because you got kids running around and your wife and everybody's at home. And so you're doing it to get away.
Yeah.
Well, so then if you're doing it to get away and you're doing it to better yourself, why not optimize that time frame that you have?
For sure.
And so that's kind of the way that goes and something that I do for myself even.
Okay.
Because, I'm in the gym from 5, 6 in the morning all the way until 7, 8 o'clock at night, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But that hour and 15 minutes is my time to myself.
Okay.
Right. And so anybody that sees me in the gym and has seen me work out, I mean, I know you've seen me work out. I don't talk to anybody. Nope. And my face is just, I'm pretty much just
zoned in.
Yeah. Let me do my thing.
Yeah.
Trust me, I will be the nicest person to you as soon as I'm done. Yep. Just let me get my thing done. And I think that's the way that mentality-wise a lot of people need to be going into the gym because of the fact that you're there to get work in.
Yep.
You're not there to socialize. You're not there to do anything else.
Agreed.
You're there to actually take care of your body.
Sure.
So take the time. It's 45 minutes.
Yes.
People spend 45 minutes watching Netflix shows.
Yes. Sure. Every day.
Every day.
Yep.
So take that time instead and actually improve your body.
That's huge, man. That's good stuff. Do you have a time of when it's essential for somebody to work out? Like when do you work out? Like what's your advice for people that don't know when to work out?
Yeah. So one thing that I've kind of focused on over the past year is also stress control.
Okay.
And it's something that I see in a lot of people. Our lives are so go that we use workouts as a stress relief, but it's actually causing more stress on the body.
Yeah.
Okay. And so my recommendation for majority of people is try not to get like a heavy lifting day done late in the night.
Okay.
Only reason being is if you've ever lifted later on in the night, you know this. You get done with your lift, what's up? You're probably jacked up, right?
100%.
And now you're not going to sleep for 3 to 4 hours.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the number one thing that we need as humans to help out with stress is sleep.
Sure.
And so working out later in the day is going to mess up that sleep cycle. It's going to mess up that recovery.
Okay.
And so if you can, if possible, work out earlier in the day.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
That's huge. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
Pain, right? You talk a lot about pain. I believe that without pain, you're not moving forward. You're not gaining more muscle. You got to have pain, right? I mean, I see you at the gym, man. You're in pain when you're working out because you're putting your body through pain, right?
Right.
How much pain are you putting yourself through? And what's pain taught you for yourself? Like what?
Yeah. So, okay. My level of pain that I have to put my body through at this point in time is a much higher threshold than majority of people.
Okay.
Only reason being is I've already surpassed genetically what I probably should have on my body for muscle tissue.
Sure.
So now at this point in time, I have to take it to that extra bounds in order to get that extra little bit of muscle.
How many people do that, though, to take it to that level? Not a lot of people,
Not a lot.
right?
Not a lot.
For me, for example, for your normal people, what should we do? We got to put ourselves through pain, right? To be able to grow.
Right.
So what is your recommendation for your normal 95% of people that just don't want to go through pain?
Right. I mean, the thing about it is this. Workouts are going to be inherently painful.
Okay.
The biggest thing is how long does that pain last? If we're seeing that 2 to 3 days after your workout, you're not able to walk still, we've done too much.
Okay. Fair enough.
If it's a day where you've got some soreness the day after, you probably did about the right amount.
Okay.
And realistically, that pain is more so an aspect of lactic acid being built up. More as you drink water and as you rest and recover, a lot of that will flush out. You won't be as sore.
Okay.
Okay. But if we've got DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, if that happens for multiple days on end, then yeah, you've probably pushed it too far.
Okay.
You know, even myself, as somebody who literally kicks the crap out of myself, it's maybe 2 days and then I'm recovered.
Okay.
So anybody, even as a novice, should not be sore for more than a day, maybe.
Okay, sure.
After that point in time, yeah, you've done way too much in the gym.
Very cool.
So,
but you do recommend though, if you're working out and you're just at the same weight limit and you're not putting your body through pain while you're working out,
right,
you're probably not going to get the most out of that, right?
No, and that's the thing. That's the hard part to teach a lot of people is what's the right amount, right? And the thing that I would say is this, is the weight that you're pushing, if you can push that weight with proper form and proper execution, like we talked about, controlling the weight on the eccentrics, the downward portion of those reps, and then being explosive with everything else, then at that point in time, then good, push the weights, right? And as far as the muscle soreness goes, or the pump, which is what really is going on, that lactic acid burn is what every bodybuilder refers to as like a pump.
Got it.
And so you hate it.
Yep.
Bodybuilders love that feeling.
Got it.
That's what we're shooting for. Is we're shooting for pushing that threshold higher and higher and higher every single workout, and that's how we cause more muscle tissue damage and cause the muscle tissue to grow.
Makes sense.
Now, with an average individual, it's more so about the fact of how much of that burn and how much of that breakdown can they handle and can they recover from. So if the next day you're sore, but it's done after a day, cool, you probably push it just about the right amount in the gym.
Perfect.
If it's one of those things where it goes for 2 or 3 days, then you're probably pushing a little too hard. Yeah. And the other aspect is if your form is absolutely perfect with the weights that you're moving, then we shouldn't have a risk of injury. And that's the other reason why I slow everybody down.
Huge, okay.
Is because of the fact that if you're actually moving the muscle tissue in the range of motion that you're supposed to under controlled effort, even if you push the weight super, super high, but it's all controlled and it's perfect execution, your risk of injury decreases massively.
Makes sense.
When we're swinging weight and we're just moving weight, your risk of injury goes through the roof. If you watch any of my lifting videos, everything is super controlled. But it's stupid heavy weights. And that's because of the fact that I'm 31, right? At this point in time, I'm past that point where I can get away with the stupid crap I did in my early 20s.
I agree.
And so the only way that I can continually progress without that risk of injury is by really controlling that weight. That's something that I've changed in the way that I've trained people over the years as well. Because as I've seen what goes on with my body, I'm starting to notice, okay, there's a smarter way to do this. We can do a little bit more time under tension. We can be a little bit smarter about the execution. Get the same results, but lower the risk of injury.
Huge. That's awesome, man. Appreciate you. And for some people that have back pain, like I do, I think it's like 80% of Americans live with back pain, right? And they have issues with their lower back and stuff like that, right? What's your recommendation to them?
So number one, and you found this out, is working with your core. So anything that we can do to kind of stabilize that core, that lower back, those are going to be huge. The other thing is psoas work. So there's a muscle that's inside of your hip, literally connects from the inside of your hip to your femur. It's like the only one that literally goes inside your hip and across your body like that. And that specific muscle, when you sit all day, which is what 90% of us do, it kind of atrophies, but it also gets a little bit, it just causes issues for majority of people. And so if we can strengthen that will also help out with lower back issues, because that's normally the weak link that causes your lower back to start to hurt. So it's a lot of, the issue is that majority of people will relate lower back to lower back, and 90% of the time it's not from the lower back. It's probably a weak core, or it's super, super tight hamstrings or glutes, or super tight calves. Because anything that's on that posterior chain, if it's really, really tight, all it's going to do is tug down on those hips, and now your lower back's going to feel pain. Right? So keys for that would be making sure hamstrings and calves are going to be stretched out, and making sure all of that's opened up. Making sure that you go ahead and do some sort of aspects of strengthening that psoas, which is that inner muscle. And there's literally, if you just go online and type in psoas exercises, there's a couple different ones that you could do.
Perfect.
And then core work, simple core work, doing a lot of your planks, side planks, sit-ups, leg raises, things like that are going to help out with kind of helping out with that structure of the core and stabilization of the core.
Beautiful.
And then lower back stuff like Supermans or hyperextensions or something like that to help build that lower back.
Beautiful.
So
awesome. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Let's go to food.
Yes.
Right? Because this is a topic that a lot of people have trouble with in the fitness industry. They're not in the fitness industry, are normal people like me, right? So I see you the other day, you were eating, I think it was asparagus, sweet potatoes, and then I bet it was turkey, I believe, or salmon or something, right? And I asked you, I said, dude, like, how could you eat that? Because you see that kind of food, you eat that kind of food all the time. And you told me one thing, which was very important that I want everybody to hear, is you told me that food tastes good to you. And I'm sitting over here like, dude, no, pizza tastes good to me, right? What, like, okay, so tell us a little bit, like, how does that taste good to you, man?
Yeah. So this is the thing that we have to realize is I have trained my taste buds, much like you have trained your taste buds.
Yes.
And
Chocolate,
so
pizza.
Exactly. And so, the thing about it is that I've eaten clean foods for so long that I can actually taste. Like a sweet potato is actually sweet to me.
Wow.
I can like when I have a difference of fat, when I have like 96.4 beef and people are like, oh God, that tastes like sandpaper. And I've been eating chicken or I've been eating lean turkey. I can literally taste the fat that's in the beef.
Wow.
Because I've gotten to a point where I don't have those fatty rich meals that a lot of people have all the time.
Okay.
And so my taste buds have gotten to a point where it's acclimated to where everything that I eat has more flavor.
Okay.
And you can ask anybody that's on prep, anybody that's ever done a bodybuilding show, if they've dieted down and you start to get restricted, like you'll eat cucumbers and cucumbers taste like the best thing in the world.
Wow.
And it's weird, but that's just our taste buds are made to eat whole foods.
Sure.
And the issue is American society is based around eating foods that are high in fats, high in carbohydrates, and low in protein.
Yes.
And so those foods are delicious. Don't get me wrong. Pizza, burgers, ice cream, it's all great and it all tastes amazing.
Okay.
The thing about it is that when you switch your nutrition over to eating more whole foods, those foods almost are too rich at the end of the day.
I got a couple more questions, man, before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
I want to talk about adversity, man. So you won a couple of local events here, right, in the bodybuilding.
Yep.
You went over and you were all pumped up, ready to go, right?
Yep.
And you got 13th, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
Like you're right in the middle of the pack.
Middle of
right?
the pack,
there were 25 people that you competed at the national level. That was adversity, right? So that was what did you learn when adversity hit you at that time? Like, what did that teach you?
Well, so this is the only downside to, and this is me being completely honest, this is the only downside to being completely open and kind of showcasing everything that happened for that entire prep.
Okay.
Because I felt like for that prep, I had so many people watching me and so many people
rooting for me
that I didn't want to let them down.
Sure.
And so it was more of an aspect of the immediate feelings after I got done was I let everybody down. Okay. More so than I let myself down.
Okay.
Because I knew that there was nothing else that I could do. I did everything that I could for the prep. I did everything that I could for the show. It is what it is.
Okay.
And in bodybuilding, one thing that you always learn when it comes to competing is the aspect that no matter how hard you work, doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, somebody else can show up that's better than you.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Sure.
You can be at your all-time best.
Okay.
And your all-time best still will not be good enough.
Sure.
And that's just something you accept.
Okay.
And it's not, I accept it and I'm going to just stop. Okay. It's I accept it and I'm going to have to improve myself even more.
There we go.
And so that was all that came after I got over I let everybody down. The only thought that was like, okay, so realistically, when I dieted down, I dieted down to about 212.7 was the lowest that I got.
Okay.
When I stepped on stage, we stepped on stage at like 222 or something like that.
Okay.
A lot of the guys that I competed against were having to pull their body fat and body weight down to barely make the 225-pound cutoff. Okay. So a lot of those guys had somewhere between 13 to 15 pounds of weight on stage over me.
Got it.
Muscle tissue wise. That's a huge difference.
Sure.
That makes a big difference on how your body looks.
Sure.
And so the only thought process that goes through mine is, okay, well, I just need to put on more muscle tissue. I need to put on more muscle tissue. It needs to be in the right places so that I can look the way I need to look in order to be in a top 5.
Sure.
it's not an aspect of like, I didn't do enough. It's an aspect of I just wasn't good enough. And I can always be better.
Got it.
I just have to put the time in to be better.
Perfect.
And that's okay. I'm okay with that. It doesn't hurt my feelings to understand that I wasn't the best that day.
Yeah.
All it does for me is it motivates me to be like, okay, well, now I got to do the work to be the best that day.
There we go. That's a great way to look at it, man. So what's in front of you, and how do you become better from that experience?
Exactly.
And go compete at the next again, right?
Right.
You're not going to stop.
Right.
So that's huge, man. Appreciate you sharing that as well. And what's the biggest lesson your 2 boys have taught you?
Patience.
Yeah.
I think one thing that you learn as a parent more than anything else is patience.
Okay.
Because, you know, a lot of the time, like even when I'm trying to teach Axel something, and you know this having kids, it's one of those things where you have to repeat yourself over and over and over again.
Okay.
And it's not because of the fact that they're trying to be a pain in the ass. It's because of the fact they're just trying to understand. So you have to have the patience to help them learn.
Okay.
And that's actually been really nice because it actually correlates over to a lot of my clients that I have and having more patience with people. Yeah. Because what I take for granted as basic knowledge or basic understanding, others have no idea.
100%.
And so it makes it a lot easier for me to now realize, okay, I need to be better about how I portray messages because I wasn't doing it as well prior.
Okay.
And I got that from our sons is the aspect that I have to figure out the person to figure out how I portray the message.
That's huge.
And that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned so far from them. The other thing would be with Axel, it's understanding how to relate to him specifically.
Okay.
I don't know if you see this, but like when you discipline kids, there's a certain way that some react really well to something and then others kind of curl up and hide. Mm-hmm. Axel's one of those people that if I raise my voice to him, he'll completely shut down. Mm. Whereas if I just have a conversation with him and tell him, hey, that's not what you're supposed to do, he'll take it in and he'll make the reaction and he'll change. Okay. But he doesn't respond well to like loud noises or coming at him.
That makes sense.
And so that's something else is it's starting to teach me to understand and try to have more empathy, but also understand the people that are around me and kind of their position on how they respond to not only one adversity, but also coaching.
Huge. Okay.
Because not everybody coaches the same way.
Sure.
And, you know, some people I can yell at them and I can be like, and I can get on their ass and they respond. Mm-hmm. And then some people you do that and they shut down.
Yes. And
so it's figuring out that push and pull and figuring that out now with everybody that I work with as well to figure out the kind of person that I'm dealing with at that point in time.
That's awesome, man.
So
that's fine. Your wife, man.
Yes.
What's the biggest lesson she has taught you?
So the biggest one that I would say that my wife has taught me is slowing down.
Okay.
She does very well at kind of helping me to just be in the moment.
Okay.
And understand that like when I'm home.
Yeah.
And I have to let everything else go.
Speaking to the choir.
and you know, and have one of those moments where, you know, kind of getting the idea that our boys are not going to be this young for this long. And the experiences that we create with them, it needs to be something that I'm in the moment for, because otherwise I'm going to miss out on it. You know, I think that's been something that she's really kind of drilled home with me.
Awesome.
And been really good about, because I'm a goal-oriented person. I wouldn't say I'm money-driven. I wouldn't say that I'm like fame-driven. I wouldn't say any of that. Yeah. I'm just goal-oriented. And so I get caught up in trying to achieve goals rather than taking the time to understand everything that's going on around me. And so I get too involved in my own process.
Sure.
And that alienates others.
Sure.
And that's something that I learned even in a few preps prior, is that I just get so focused in on a goal that it doesn't allow me to live in the moment.
Cool.
And she typically brings me back to that living in the moment and allows me to realize that, you know, you might not have a year down the road. So you might as well make sure that every day when you're with your family and you're with your kids, that you're living in that moment.
Be present.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. That's huge. So, man, it's funny, man. The patience, the slowing down, man. You literally look at me, and I'm like, I see myself exactly like right there with you, man. That a lot of wives, a lot of kids, man. Those are Man, they're just such a blessing to have in your life, man. It makes us the people we are, man, because of those two people. So, okay, let's go to morning routine, man. Do you have a morning routine, or is there something that you do every day that's your non-negotiables?
Yeah. So first and foremost, wake up, praise, thank you.
Okay.
That's my first thing.
Okay, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Okay.
I wake up, I literally just stand in the mirror and I say a prayer. Thank you for waking me up.
That's awesome.
And then from that point in time, it's kind of changed, but I've been trying to be to the point where I'm always doing something where I'm moving for the first 15 to 20 minutes of my morning.
Okay.
So I always either try to do some sort of either walk or something like that. And then the other thing is I take every single morning, I do a digestive drink to set my stomach off the right way.
Okay.
And then aside from that, the only other thing that I do is 15 minutes of reading.
Reading.
So
okay.
I'll do 15 minutes of reading first thing in the morning as well.
Beautiful.
Typically when my breakfast is cooking, I'm just sitting there reading.
Yeah.
And so I typically knock those 4 things out every morning. Yeah. And then from there, just kind of sets me off on the right path. So I've got my digestion set off right. I've got my mindset set off right.
Body's moving.
Body's moving.
Well,
and I've
why
already
body,
got something.
man? What's that do to you know?
So for me, there's two reasons. Number one, I like it because typically from a health standpoint, I know that if I've eaten, like, let's say I've had a ton of carbs the day prior, I know that my blood glucose is a little elevated. It helps to kind of clear out whatever blood glucose I've got left in my system, set me off in a right direction as far as that goes, number one. Number two, just wakes me up more than anything. So I actually feel awake and I feel accomplished. I mean, one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself is start your day with wins.
Yeah.
And so, if I can knock out my cardio, which is something that I dread as well.
Sure.
But if I can knock out my cardio and I can get my digestion on the right place and I can get 15 minutes of reading in, which is self growth, then I've gotten 3 wins right then and there.
That's beautiful, man.
So if I can do that every day, I've already set my day off on a good point. Now everything from there is bonus, right? And so that's that's typically my non-negotiables every morning.
Okay.
And then I actually have a buddy who owns a gym out in Nashville who made a post a couple of days ago, and I talked to him about it. But he was talking about how he had a mentor previously, and I'm going to start doing this. I haven't done it yet. I've got it mapped out to start this week.
Okay.
But he's got a mentor that told him your days should have themes. So each one of your days should have a theme. So like mine is like my Tuesdays and my Thursdays are client updates.
Okay.
So those are my days that my day is dedicated to getting my clients' updates done.
Got it.
My Mondays and now my Wednesdays are both going to be aimed at self-improvement.
Okay.
Whether that's working on new certifications or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And then my Fridays are going to be focused on kind of end of week filling out whatever needs to be done.
Okay.
Gym work, stuff like that. And then family.
Saturday,
and then,
Sundays.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm doing my best to kind of start structuring my days that way.
Okay.
Only because of the fact that one thing that I've noticed about myself is if I don't have structure in every aspect, I'm going to be all over the place.
Yeah, sure.
And so structuring my days, the beginning of my days are great. The problem is as I go through my day, it's like chaos all over the place. Because between training clients and doing client updates and whatever it might be, I'm just bouncing all over the place, and that's causing chaos.
Sure.
And one thing I don't want is a ton of chaos because it's going to take me out of my rhythm.
Yep.
And so I'm doing my best now to get very precise about how I'm structuring my days in order to make everything much more optimal.
Cool.
Which again is going to give me more time with my family on the weekends, which is what I care about.
100%.
So
100%, man. So you have we have a perfect segment to our last question, which we asked on this podcast called "Winning the Day." Is the podcast's name?
Yeah.
Winning the day, man. How do you win your day every day? You shared a little bit, of course. But what does winning the day mean to you, man? How do you win your day?
Winning the day to me is constantly improving.
Beautiful.
So as long as I can consistently improve every single day, and it could be something small.
Yeah.
But as long as I consistently improve every day, that means that I'm improving 365 days a year.
Yeah.
Which means I'm 365 steps ahead of everybody else.
Yep. And what are maybe give us one or two things, last thing, you have to do to win the day for yourself? What are your things you have to do? Is it your morning routine, you think, that you have to do to consider it that you won the day?
My morning routine is number one.
Okay.
My number two is gratitude for my family.
Ooh.
Those are my
Big
two
time.
things.
That's huge, man.
Yeah.
Nick, man, it was a pleasure having you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks for being on, and looking forward to, for people that don't know where to find you, man, you want to tell us a little bit about where can we find you and follow? You have great stuff on social media, tips that helps me with my daily routine of exercise, food, and stuff. Where can people find you?
So Instagram, it's BR Physiques.
BR Physiques, okay.
And then Facebook is Nick Langer.
Okay.
And then you can go to brphysiques.com.
Okay.
Is the website.
Okay.
And then aside from that, the gym is Iron Heaven, Omaha.
Beautiful.
And so we have 2 locations here in town as far as the gyms go.
Yeah.
And those are kind of the main platforms. YouTube, I'm actually on there as well.
Okay.
And I believe that's under Nick Langer.
Beautiful.
So.
Iron Heaven is where I go, man. I love that place. It's
Appreciate
changed my daily routine of exercise. There's one on Harrison Q Street.
So there's one off 132nd in Chandler, which is literally right across the interstate from Cabela's.
Perfect.
And then there's one on 120th between Maple and Blondo.
Yeah. If
you go past Mulhol's and you take a left, you're going to find us.
Beautiful. Appreciate you having on, man. Thanks again.
Brother. Yes, sir.